What a headshot! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you through my very own transfer plan for the upcoming Game Week 37. So Game Week 37, the penultimate game week of this FPL season, is finally upon us, and it comes with a few tricks that we're going to have to deal with. Now the biggest one is going to be the FA Cup final, Crystal Palace taking on Man City. You guys let me know in the comments down below, who do you think is going to win that one? We'd usually say Man City, but their form hasn't been that fantastic. So not only do we have that FA Cup final, we then have Man City and Crystal Palace playing only 3 days later. And if you guys have seen my team, I have 4 players from both those squads. So should we be taking them out? Should we be taking hits? I'll be discussing that in this transfer plan, as well as doing a quick review of how Game Week 36 got on. So if that's something you guys are interested in, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So we were lucky enough to have a pretty strong Game Week 36, as you guys can see, 66 points and a green arrow to 31k. Let's just hope these green arrows continue from now till the end of the season. So a pretty respectable game week. Let me know how you guys got on in the comments down below. How many points did you guys score, as well as what's that overall rank looking like with only 2 game weeks left. As you guys can see, just under that, 1 free transfer and a massive 4.7 in the bank. So in our transfer plan, I can potentially do a massive upgrade, but I'll discuss that a little bit later on. So pretty decent game week. Let's go on to where those points came from on our bench. Our bench actually looked pretty strong. We had Verbruggen with a massive 8-pointer, racking up save and bonus points. Now Murphy also got an assist in that Newcastle win. Finally, Saliba and Kiwior, as you guys know, they conceded 2 to Liverpool, so quite happy that I ended up benching them. Now even though Verbruggen got 8 points, you guys will hear, I'm not that disappointed, and that's because Martinez matched him. So yes, both goalkeepers getting 8 points. The only problem with Martinez is that he did rack up a yellow card for arguing. So definitely would have preferred if he didn't get that yellow, would have been on a massive 9-pointer. And the logic about going for him because Aston Villa have something to play for at least paid off. Now in our backline department, I guess the best thing about Man City was owning their defense, and I only owned Guardiola, who got 6 points. So yes, I didn't have any Man City attackers against Southampton. Very lucky that they didn't come back to bite me. Not only was that lucky, also did have Dan Burn in my department, who got an assist plus a clean sheet and 2 bonus points. Now if you guys haven't seen the assist, I'd recommend going and watching it, not for the actual assist but probably for the goal. It was a classic FPL assist, but I'm definitely going to be taking it. So very lucky that we did start someone like a Dan Burn over a Saliba or a Kiwior, but I personally did favour the fixture. Was a little bit of an interesting watch. If you guys haven't seen what happened, Nicholas Jackson sent off in the first half. I was quite happy because it almost guaranteed the clean sheet, but Chelsea still pressed on, and I think we're actually a little bit unlucky not to score in this one. But as an FPL manager, definitely happy. Also does kind of heat up that top 5 race quite a bit. Honestly, don't even know what teams are going to finish in the Champions League spots. One team, unfortunately, that might not is going to be Nottingham Forest. I started Neco Williams, lost 2 clean sheet chances against Leicester, and unfortunately no attacking returns in this one. Now I guess I'm just lucky that I only owned 1 Forest defender, not 2 or 3, as I have seen some teams, but they had the highest chance of a clean sheet in Game Week 36. Billy Saliba and Kiwior both got 1 point, so they didn't bench too many kind of mistakes, but definitely thought that Neco Williams had a wrapped up clean sheet here. Now in our midfield department, going to start off with the blank of Mo Salah. I do think he was quite unlucky. He had a few big chances created and a few chances, but unfortunately no attacking returns. I would probably say some people are going a bit cold on the Egyptian and Liverpool as a whole, but it still looks like they're attacking pretty free-flowing, and I do expect Salah to get some returns from now to the end of the season. If you're a Liverpool fan and are watching, you probably have seen how the players are jeopardizing his assist record. I honestly don't know how he hasn't got an assist in these past few games. The star of the team though was definitely going to be our Crystal Palace options, namely our midfielders, and it's going to be Eze. He got 16 points and Sarr ended on 6. We had the dream goal there, a Sarr assist to an Eze goal, and Sarr could have got a goal, but it would have been a Munoz assist, but it was ruled out for offside. I think there actually might have been a few chances that Crystal Palace did kind of get ruled out. They were simply all over Spurs. That is something that I'm considering when I do look at my captain for the upcoming game week, because guess who plays them? It's Aston Villa. But Eze as our differential 16 points is simply outstanding and basically got us that massive green arrow, thanks a lot to the chess master. Then finally our captain Mbumo managed to get an assist for the second week in a row. Would have loved a few more returns here, Brentford definitely could have scored more, but I guess he didn't blank like a Kevin De Bruyne or the other popular Mamush. But Brentford and Mbumo are ticking along nicely, just would have wished for a bigger haul, but you don't always get what you want in FPL. Now that's literally where the kind of team review does end, because our forwards did literally nothing. Starting off with Isaac, he blanked in that Chelsea win. Would have expected a bit more from him, but it seems like his form isn't fantastic. Then Mateta, what more can we say, was subbed yet again before the 60th minute mark, very close though, I think it was about 15 seconds. But he did have a few big chances in this fixture that I wish he converted. Then the final option, you'll notice no Man City attacker. I transferred out Mamush as soon as we got news that he was benched, and I brought in Visa for the 1-pointer. Now it was between Visa and Chris Wood, so obviously I chose the wrong option, Visa also racking up a yellow card, but like Mbumo, had some attacking threat. Was very disappointed though in our forwards, especially Mateta, since I had the chance to kind of keep him now that Mamush was benched. I wanted him to do well, and he definitely had some chances. I guess it wasn't meant to be, and at least our midfield and defensive department kind of clutched up, and that finally secured us the green arrow. But like I mentioned early on, how many points did you guys score? What's the overall rank looking like? Always like to see how you guys are keeping up in these FPL seasons. Now before we go over my transfer plan, as always, I want to give you guys the context of my current team selection, and just a reminder, one free transfer, but a massive 4.7 left in the bank. Now Game Week 37 is a super tough one because the FA Cup finals happening on Saturday, and there's no doubles, no blanks. The Premier League has just moved the Man City and Crystal Palace fixtures to Tuesday, so about 3 days rest between the fixtures. So that does make this team selection mighty tough because a player could get injured in that Man City vs Crystal Palace final. We can't really prepare for that. Would have really loved to know who's actually going to win that one. But as you guys know, the deadline is going to be happening on Friday. So almost have to kind of shoot in the dark here, just maybe hope that an Eze or Mateta starts this one, doesn't get injured. And that's why I would recommend making your decisions on the players that you at least know are guaranteed to play. So on the bench this week, which you might actually require depending on that Man City plus Crystal Palace situation, I'm benching Verbruggen as I do own Salah. Then I've got Murphy against Arsenal. That's a very tough game. The top 5 race is not concluding, and therefore ought to play for in these final 2 game weeks. So that Newcastle vs Arsenal game is simply massive. Both teams kind of have to win there. Should be a good one. So at least Murphy can come off the bench for attacking return if need be. I'm also taking a risk here. I'm benching both Saliba plus Kyria. Haven't really seen it out of that Arsenal defense over these last few games, and I still currently own Isaac and hope that he scores. You guys can let me know though if you would start these Arsenal assets over any of my other defenders, but like with Murphy, might require them depending on the rotation. Between the sticks, I have no problem starting Martinez. Spurs and United on Friday should rotate quite heavily as they're playing on the following Wednesday in the Europa final. So Martinez, Aston Villa still have a lot to play for with those Champions League spots, so let's just hope for a hat-trick of clean sheets. We're going back to back to back. Then Guardiola against Bournemouth. Nothing can be said about this fixture, it's completely unknown. All I know though is Man City still have to win games to get those Champions League spots. So on paper Guardiola should start, but who knows, Pep rotation is bad already, and now we have to factor in an FA Cup final, but I guess let's just see what happens. Once again starting Dan Burn. I know it's against Arsenal, but I don't own any Arsenal attackers, so I'm hoping they're blank. I think they'll probably score though, as this is a home fixture. Then finally Neco Williams. I mean, if he can't keep a clean sheet against Leicester, maybe he can against West Ham, and as a non-Jared Bowen owner, I definitely hope so. I just simply prefer him from an attacking point of view to the rest of my defense, but I guess I could bench him if I do double up on Kyria plus Saliba. Then our midfield department might look better, might look worse, namely because Eze and Sarr both have Wolves. If they do start this fixture, I think there might be a few goals here. What I will say though, if Crystal Palace do win the FA Cup, I highly doubt any of their players will be in a game state by Tuesday, but if they do lose, maybe we'll have a strong kind of lineup. I do hope that Eze and Sarr both play this one though, because it's a very good fixture. And on either side of them, we've got Salah as our captain, but it could be Mbumo. Quite close between these two. Fulham didn't look great. It is a Brentford home fixture, but I just feel like Salah's been a bit unlucky over these past few weeks, and the returns are coming. So yes, might be slightly boring, but I do feel like that Brighton game might be quite open. And if Liverpool do score, I just hope that Salah's involved. Then finally up front, I do believe Mateta out of the Crystal Palace options will probably be rotated the most likely, and that's just because Nketiah is a pretty natural replacement. So I kind of think Mateta is probably the most likely player to depart us out of the Crystal Palace ones, but if he does start, Wolves is also going to be a good fixture. Isaac against Arsenal away, very tough game a few game weeks ago, probably the hardest defense to face, and with Newcastle still wanting to win, I feel like Isaac could get some attacking returns. Super important game though, so might be quite boring. Maybe just keep him for that Everton at home fixture and just hope that Newcastle still have to qualify. Don't know if it's worth the transfer out. Then Visa against Fulham, I'm going to double up on Brentford once again. Might as well put all my eggs in one basket, go for the Mbumo captain for the third week in a row. But at the moment, as mentioned, on Mo Salah. Let's just hope that Visa can repay us for bringing him in last week and him getting a blank only 1 point. We'll be pretty happy if he gets a few returns. But like I mentioned, with this unknown factor of the FA Cup final, super hard to say if this team selection is actually looking okay. But at least we have one free transfer and 4.7 to switch it around. So going on to that transfer plan, and for me there's one more likely transfer than others, and that's probably Mateta out, as I kind of believe that he's going to be benched for Nketiah against Wolves. And then after that it's Liverpool away, and Liverpool of course will be receiving the trophy at Anfield. Highly doubt they want to put on a bad performance for that fixture. So I kind of think that Mateta is the most likely player to leave the squad, and there are a few kind of more spicy players to look at. The first one's going to be Ollie Watkins against that heavily rotated Spurs squad. In preparation for Wednesday, I think that Spurs and United will probably rotate, and since Aston Villa still want to qualify for the Champions League, I feel like they'll be full guns blazing. That hopefully means Ollie Watkins can get a few returns, and here's the big thing, I might even captain him if I do go for him, as he's probably one of the better differential captains in Game Week 37. He also has United, there might still be some rotation, but I doubt it, it's the last United home fixture. But I guess if they win the Europa League, there won't be any complaints if they lose. So definitely targeting that first fixture, the second one against United isn't as good, but could potentially still be a great scoring fixture. I think it probably comes down to, do I want to captain Ollie Watkins, or do I think he's that much better than an Mbumo or a Salah? Otherwise I could go for someone like an Evan Nielsen, who has Leicester in Game Week 38. Literally one of the best fixtures I know. We did see Nottingham Forest only scored 2 goals against them, but I do feel like Bournemouth are in better form at the moment. My only concern though is that Man City away game. I'm not saying Man City's a great defense, but they still have something to play for, which could spice this fixture up and make it a little bit boring. So I just wish that Evan Nielsen had a slightly better fixture in Game Week 37, because obviously Game Week 38 is fantastic. I think currently leaning towards Ollie Watkins if I do choose to use the captain on him, otherwise there are potentially some midfielder rotation swaps. But I don't really feel like going for Saka against Newcastle, and then Palmer hasn't been fantastic. If you are on the analytics, Palmer's definitely the best captain this week, according to the projected points, but I just don't know if I trust Chelsea. So this move probably does look quite likely, either Evan Nielsen or Watkins. I think Chris Wood has slightly passed it, as I would have wanted him for that Leicester fixture. But if you guys saw another move potentially that you think is better than this one, drop in the comments down below. Otherwise, what's your transfer plan for the penultimate Game Week 37? Tons of content still to come up, no midweek football except for that Friday night deadline. Make sure those notifications are on so that you guys get notified when I do go live for my deadline stream. This is basically a wrap for the guys. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please don't like it and subscribe if you have subscribed yet. Tons of content still to come up from now to the end of the season. So hopefully I see you guys for those. But for the time being, I'm signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.